Welcome back, everyone, to Constructive Uncoupling. I'm Judy Weigel, your amicable divorce expert. Why? Because that's all I do, amicable divorces. I'm a divorce mediator and a legal document assistant, which means I work on settlement agreements and I file for amicable divorces. My company is Divorce Resource Incorporated in Los Angeles. Now, we've had episodes on various aspects of getting divorced. We're going to do a little twist today. We have a guest with us, Annie Gigliotti, with Be Well Integrative Acupuncture, and she's going to talk about why marry. Because on the other side of divorce is the decision to marry. We go into marriage with sometimes the absolute right ideas, intentions, and we've picked the right person, and sometimes it's not at all. But regardless, divorce is a learning experience. Divorce is a new beginning, but let's dial it back and let's go back to we are single, and why are we going to marry? So Annie, let me just say a little bit more about Annie, and we're going to get started. So I knew that Annie was an acupuncturist for animals, and that's really all I knew until recently. This woman is so much more than that. Annie, you describe it better than I do. First of all, you're a nurse.
Yes, I am. I've been a nurse since 2001, which I can't believe. But yes, I've worked in a variety of different medical environments. Being a nurse in the home a lot, especially lately.
Yes.
But hospitals, I've seen it all. I've traveled all over California.
How did you integrate animals then?
Once I obtained that degree, I had a couple patients that had dogs. And I was in their home treating them. Actually, my first animal was from a married couple that I was treating them as well as, and so they asked me to treat their dog. And so I was like, okay, sure. And so we just started doing it and the dog responded very well. The dog was so sick and we were able I did acupuncture 2 to 3 days a week and transform this dog back to its normal self with just some basic Chinese medicine. And so at that point, I know that animals had received acupuncture. I had horses that I had known had acupuncture, growing up and stuff, but I just started a labor of love, and it was so much fun to help these little animals heal because they absorb a ton in the household.
Don't they?
They do.
Just like children.
They're little mirrors. When they're upset or they're nauseous or they're just not themselves, I always tend to encourage my patients, reflect upon what's happening within this household and within yourselves, because I guarantee you they're picking up on something.
I know this to be true because I have used acupuncture for my animals with excellent results all the time. So I know it to be true. Now, yeah. Annie does something else back to the divorce thing. You work with married couples. Say how you do. What do you do? Say what you do.
So I love working with married couples because I think it's fun to try and give them a chance to get healthy first with acupuncture and Chinese medicine, and then be healthy together. And so what I do is I go into people's homes and I look in their environments and we do some feng shui. We definitely move some things and shift some energy, furniture, the placement of, plants and beds. I go in, I help them rearrange and get their house clean and balanced. Then I go individually and I treat them on the individual level. And I go and I help them get balanced on a physical, spiritual level with acupuncture. And then once they're ready, I do it together and I join them, I connect them. They are in tandem environments where we can share the same bed, share the same room. I have them sometimes holding hands. I do the exact mirrored points on them. It's really fun because you can do it in a lot of different ways to help connect the couple.
And you said something a few minutes ago when we were just talking, and you said you connect them physically and you connect them through communication. Talk about that a second.
Connection and communication is where I believe that's where a lot of people lose their way in a marriage or any type of relationship, really. Not just a marriage, even with your animal. So I like reconnecting the person within, because if they're disconnected within, they're going to have an immense problem connecting with another person. So connection and also communication. When you're feeling well and confident, your communication is going to be a lot more clear in a marriage, and you're going to feel better about it. So yeah, connection and communication is where I really try to help the fluidity occur within those.
Now, let's talk about why marry. So now that we know you do work with married couples, and so this is great. Are you married?
No.
What has been your opinion of marriage for you?
I have not met a man that I'm willing to marry.
Oh, please extend your thinking.
I have had some delicious, wonderful men and relationships in my life. I have a little bit of a different take on marriage because of my history. My grandparents were divorced. My parents divorced and happily remarried. I've had divorce in my life, my whole life, pretty much.
Do you have siblings that
No.
got divorced? Okay.
Thank God.
Well, siblings can be really good.
Not at this point. My dad does have a new. He's priming his third wife, and she's a little bit younger than I am. So I don't know about having a sibling in my future, but for now, I'm an only child.
Okay. So talk about. So you're a product of a divorce in the family.
Yes.
And this has influenced your ideas of marriage.
And may I add, I've also been a product of happy remarriages. Both of my parents remarried wonderful people and created a beautiful structure in my life. So segue, I feel you can co-create what marriage means with a partner. And for me, these men that I've met always seem to want to be in the marriage box, like the certain trajectory of why to get married. Oh, let's move in together. Oh, let's just get married. I'm like, oh, well, why? Why are we just going to get married? Is that the next phase? It's just so unromantic to me. And the way these guys that I dated were kind of believers in marriage and what that looked like wasn't really fun and co-creative with me. I want to co-create what marriage is with a partner. I feel like it changes. And in my experience, it's work. Who do I want to work with? Who do I want to partner up with? And I feel as though, yes, I love the fantastical, romantic, sensual partnership component, but then there's also that polar opposite work component of you see the dark side of someone. Are you willing to deal with the dark side of someone in your life? Are you willing to cohabitate and share everything? You know, I think that it's a lot of pressure. Honestly, coming from my personality, it can be very pressure filled.
Well, you know, we are expected to get married. Is that some of what you're saying? Society expects us to marry. Quite often, our parents expect us to marry. Mm-hmm. Is it some of that, the expectation that you just have to push away?
From day one. I always had, attraction towards men. I always naturally wanted to couple up. I like having a boyfriend. I like partnership. I really do. It enhances me most of the time.
Right. Partner.
But yeah, as
right partner at the right time.
Timing, yes.
Right, because sometimes maybe we don't need to have a partner. Maybe sometimes we actually need, I never even said this before, maybe sometimes we actually need to be alone for our growth.
I enjoy it. I just recently got out of a relationship, and I'm taking my time getting back to this. Who am I now after this learning process of being with this guy? I want to have multiple relationships in my life. Maybe that's what my problem has been all these 40 years. I want to have multiple relationships and experiences. Not that I'm into polygamy.
Right, one at a time.
Or polyamory. Yeah. I feel strengthened and empowered as a woman in this day and age. Why do I have to be with just one guy?
You know, that's so interesting.
Why can't I experience it all? I want to create what my own,
I find that so refreshing. I've never heard anybody say, and nor have I ever thought of, why can't the goal be having multiple great relationships one at a time, of course.
Yeah.
It's easier one at a time, I guess.
Well, for some,
Okay.
not for all.
Not for all, you're absolutely right. But yes, I've never heard that before. So in the relationship, what is a relationship like for you? What do you think a good relationship is?
Well,
And for you just have to get to speak for yourself. You don't have to speak for everybody.
Well, for me, a good relationship always has a basis of trust and understanding. I think understanding who you're dealing with and who you're with and not trying to change them and really delving in, and the stronger I am and who I want to be and my path, having a partner that exemplifies that in me and me wanting to exemplify that with another person. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I want to be able to be empowered and feel empowered by a partner. Like, Annie, you're A, B, C, and D, and I love that about you, so let's make it better. Let's finish that alphabet up for you. And vice versa. I want to respect and trust and want to believe in my man and believe in my partner and see the evolution of who they become and enjoy it. And that's difficult. That's difficult to find that in every single person. And I think that for me, a relationship would be one of empowerment and a partnership of a service in a way, like servicing your partner and making sure that they're going on their right path, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. So are you relationship-oriented more than marriage-oriented? Is marriage too much of a structure in which to live?
Most likely.
Yeah?
Yeah. I would say that that's a very good assumption. Structure, to me, is something that's ever evolving. And if you build a structure around something that doesn't even exist yet, what are you really doing?
Okay, so in my practice, I have worked with a number of couples who lived together without getting married, raised children, and then said, well, why don't we just get married? And within a couple years of getting married,
they're done.
They get divorced. Mm-hmm. And so I find this so fascinating to watch, and that's what made me think maybe, too, the confines of marriage, just the idea that marriage is something that wraps itself around a couple and maybe almost suffocates them. Mm-hmm. Maybe it takes the freedom and creativity out of the relationship. And number two, what I was thinking was, when we get married, marriage is an institution, and there are roles that come with being part of an institution. And I know for me, when I got married, I jumped into a role, what I thought a wife was supposed to be, and I'm not convinced it was the right role for me, or the role I was playing was right for him. And so could it be the freedom of not being married for you is more nurturing to a positive relationship than assuming the role and the legal responsibility? We have to remember, marriage is a legal institution.
It is. And just the word institution just makes me cringe. Institute? How unromantic and beautiful is that? And those are precisely the reasons. The sharing of the bank accounts and all of that, yeah, that could be problematic. But, to me, that's kind of ancillary. I think that my main sail of being out there on the relationship waters is strong enough. And I don't mind being independent and focusing on my course. And if there's another delicious ship that wants to stay on course with me, I'm super open for that. But I feel as though people, like what you said, they give up a beautiful gift called life to live in a little structure or a thought of what your role is. Create your own role and find a partner that enhances that and appreciates that. Because I feel like when we go into these roles, we can't get out of them. And we build 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 years, and then we want to change our role, and it freaks the other partner out. No. That's not what we agreed upon.
That's right.
Under the law of God, or however people get married these days, whatever.
Right.
The ring, the contract, this. You can't do that. Oh, yes, I can. Because I'm an individual, and this is not working for me anymore. That's why people get divorced a lot of times, because they get married in the first place. I have a feeling, and I see this a lot, Judy, in a lot of my relationship counseling via acupuncture. I see these couples, they live together, they have children, they're together for 10, 15 years. Okay, pressure, or for whatever reason, okay, we got to get married now. Let's buy a house. Oh, we got to do it for law purposes, or we need to do it for taxes. Ew, is that why you guys do it? They get married. Within 5 years, it destroys everything. And I see it because, again, it's that trajectory of time where people are trying to live roles that just aren't natural for them. We're in cycles, human beings. We change every 7 to 8 years.
That's
Hormones,
right.
Chemistry, needs, survival skills, awareness.
Not many people know that, but we do have a 7-year cycle.
Yeah, we're cyclical. We're not. I'm not the same as I was when I was 15. Thank God. I'm not the same as I was when I was 30. Thank God. You know, that's for me. Marriage. I'm looking to the future. I really hope that we can co-create what marriage can be in this new life.
Well, the millennials are doing this.
What are they doing? Tell me about these millennials.
So here's what the millennials will do.
What are the millennials doing?
Okay, now we talked about you possibly being a Gen Xer. I think you're 3 to 4 years a little older than millennials. I mean, you're still a young woman.
1978.
You could still have children, and if you chose to do that. Okay, we haven't hit the children thing yet.
Yeah.
But okay, so here's what I was reading about millennials. And by the way, I believe I have been I'm 66. I believe I've had the heart of a millennial my whole life. Because
I love the heart of a millennial.
I believe I've had the heart of a millennial
So cute,
all my life,
Judy.
because I believe I've exhibited these qualities. So here's what millennials want. Many of them come from divorce, and they don't want to repeat the mistakes of their parents. Okay. So
But was divorce a mistake?
Well, okay.
Not in my...
If people handled divorce better, it would not be horrible. If people would stop blaming each other.
Yeah.
And just accept the fact that they were together for a reason. This is a learning experience. Maybe they shouldn't have been together, but how would they have learned about themselves unless they chose each other, so that they could see maybe there are better choices out there, and they're still young enough and able to have other relationships.
Yeah.
So I do believe that divorce is a new beginning. It's the last sentence in my confirmation emails when I book people to come in the office. I truly believe divorce is a new beginning. It allows you to shore up things that maybe went awry in the marriage, or make different choices because you need to make different choices. But you need a mirror of self-reflection, and that's what your marriage was. Now let's go out and change that and be a happier person. Let's not blame each other. If we stop blaming, we'll have a better divorce. Mm-hmm. So millennials. Millennials want a strong foundation upon which to build a marriage and avoid divorce. So that strong foundation means that they want to take longer in their career path to get themselves established.
True.
And
I see that.
Have job security. They want financial stability. So if they have a lot of student loans, which you know can be killer, they want to pay off the student loans so that they can have money in savings, so that they can look for affordable housing. They want personal growth. They want to travel, explore life, and explore themselves with all their different skills and talents. They want their life to be in order. And let me see, the understanding that marriage is a legal commitment is a really big thing. So what I find when I see people getting divorced is people don't understand that divorce is all about money. I mean, the children, if you have children, it's about the co-parenting schedule, but then there's a lot of money wrapped up into child support and cooperatively.
Everything.
Yes.
Everything.
So divorce is about money. When you go to the city hall to get a marriage license, we don't even think about this. We go to city hall, but we're in love. And so this is an emotional experience that we're engaged in.
Yes.
Yes. But that's not what marriage is to the state that you're getting married in or the country. It doesn't matter. If you have to go to a government institution to get a marriage license, marriage is a financial contract that you're establishing with somebody so that when you go to get divorced, it's all about money. It's the breaking of the financial contract. And so millennials are now getting that. Because this is a legal commitment, they need to be really ready for that legal commitment, and they need to make absolutely sure they want this legal commitment. So years and years and years ago, marriage was an economic decision among the wealthy. Mm-hmm. Then it morphed into an emotional reason to get to get married. We're in love. Mm-hmm. And now it's swinging back to maybe it's something different than both of these. And that's where the millennials are at. Now, you have friends that are in the millennial
tons.
Well, what are they saying? Are they married? Are they not married? How are they talking about it? And are they divorced?
Well, I would say it's a bit regional. Regional, I mean, as in my friends that live in Los Angeles, I have much less of a percentage of marriage. Coupling, yes. Marriage, not so much. Now, if you go in the interior, my friends that live a little bit more deeper into the country, yes, I find that they have more propensity of being married.
And why do you think that is?
I think that in LA in particular, where we are, we have a large pool to pull from. And that it's, I think people are less wanting to commit because there's so many options and varieties of love trains that we can jump on. And that's my opinion.
No, that's great. I
think that when you take someone in Los Angeles in the social single scene and you plug them into somewhere like Boise, Idaho, your chances are going to be a lot different. And I think that the coupling and the marriage and the also religious factor of what you should be doing in those regions are a little bit more supportive for marriage.
More oriented towards the family unit, the normal trajectory that you...
The normal trajectory.
The normal trajectory
yes,
that you graduate, at least you graduate from high school.
Yeah.
Possibly go to college. And then just have children after that.
Most likely.
This is what you do.
That's their comfort zone. That's what they've been trained and programmed socially, ancestrally, all of it. When you go into, smaller towns, I think that you're going to just encounter that a lot more because that's just what you do, And
you said something interesting about there are more people to choose from.
Oh, especially Los Angeles. Holy moly.
Right, in a big city like this. But when you're in a smaller town.
We're a sizzling town.
I love Hollywood.
I love Santa Monica.
Well, Hollywood meaning all of Los Angeles, but Santa Monica
clearly your
fabulous.
Office, you have such deliciousness in here with this Hollywood. So yes, so there's my opinion on that.
What she's talking about is in my office, which is where we're creating this podcast, I have posters of divorce movies, and they're all divorce movies that had happy endings. And the reason why I have this as my artwork is because A, we're in an entertainment town, B, my background is live entertainment, so I kind of wanted to bring myself and my background into this business of divorce, and C, I wanted to give people hope. That divorce is not the worst thing. Your life isn't over because you're getting divorced again. It's a new beginning. You can turn it around.
It's a rebirth.
It's a rebirth.
Rising up. Ashes. Crush it and grow.
That's right. When my sister was about to get divorced many, many years ago, the one thing she said to me was, I need to come to you because you waited to get married until you were 33. I had that idea when I was in my early 20s that I didn't want to get married till I was 33, and I got married when I was 33. And my reason was very millennial. I wanted to see the world, grow personally, have security, know what I was bringing to the table. But here was her question. She said, my greatest fear is being lonely. And that's why she got married. She got married to somebody that we all knew she wasn't suited to. I mean, wonderful, a nice person. Nothing wrong really with the person.
Did she settle? Would you say that word settle? Would that resonate? She
settled because she didn't feel the confidence to explore. She, I guess, had that standard notion that you graduate, get married, have children, regardless of having a college degree. And women think like that, or women did think like that. She's also in her 60s like I am. And so she settled because she didn't explore more. They met in college and she got married and they had children immediately. And so I had the opposite. I said, well, Jerry, I don't know. I said, that's fine. This is what you want. But for me, I would be scared to marry in my 20s because I am bound to change a lot in my 20s to my 30s.
Every decade.
Every decade has changed.
Why? I mean, I feel bad for people that think that we're not.
Well, they don't even think about it. Most people don't think that far ahead.
Don't you want to expand and evolve? My goodness.
Well, most people are not given that from their families as the goal. So think of what we learn with our families. We learn what they learned.
Yeah. And, I learned a lot through watching my parents divorce and both of them remarry. I learned a lot, actually, by watching that process. I feel like that's what helped fuel me in wanting to create my own definition or my own version of what marriage is.
That seems to be what's happening now. Now, this is interesting. So both of your parents remarried, and they had good remarriages. Your mom?
My mom married an epic man that loves her. And they're not even traditionally, whatever that means, married. My parents created their own marriage on my mom's side. They never got married in a church. They weren't all up on a priest. They had rings. They went to Scotland and they spent a couple weeks there going to their favorite places. And we're like, well, we just made some vows up and we're on the Isle of Skye and that's our favorite country. And they've been together for 20 years and they co-create that a lot. And it was nice to watch that.
Did they actually go to City Hall and get a marriage license? Do you know? Did you ever ask?
No.
I wonder if they did.
I'm not sure. I guess I could ask. My mom's not really into signing contracts and stuff like that.
Maybe she didn't. What about your dad?
No, my dad full on. My dad is like Italian Catholic. They got married in the Catholic Church and, he loved his second wife, but she was younger and she wanted to have children and my dad is a jazz musician. And so he was just, Mr. Jazz Hands all over and it didn't happen and she ended up divorcing him, my dad's second wife. I'm still very close with her. I adore her and love her. My step-parents are from heaven. They never, ever threatened me. They always wanted to be a supportive, wonderful parental unit, but never wanted to take over the role. I got so lucky. Thank God. So, but now my dad's working on his third marriage, in a way. He's got this new young girl living with him, and he's in love. She does well for him. They're cute together.
Are they?
So we'll see what happens. Yeah.
So, all right, back to your other friends. So do you have friends that are not yet married and are talking about what they want in a relationship?
Yeah, I have, especially girls. There's a couple females that are really yearning for that marriage. They're about 33 to 38. They're at that time frame where they're really, I think their hormones are bubbling. They want to get a baby and a family started. And there's something inside of them that really seeks that. And I think that they are lonely. I believe that a lot of people do get married because there's some souls that are just lonely and they need to be filled up.
Quite possibly. One of the things I was reading with the millennials, of course, was the reason why they're waiting longer to get married is because science has provided a way to freeze eggs.
Oh, yeah.
And so
I have a ton of friends that all my friends freeze their eggs.
So that they could have freedom of time.
Totally.
Yeah.
And they were so much happier after they did it too.
Were they?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They felt so much more confident and comfortable.
Interesting. Okay, now do you also have friends that wanted to go a more traditional route and start a family young?
Yes, I've had those friends as well, and I would say it's 50-50. The ones that started young, they're not happy, and their children are suffering. It's kind of one of those things. I can tell. I can tell that they're just not, they're not connected.
Okay.
I feel like they're just not connecting as humans.
Yes.
They're robotic. They live in a house, they provide, they live in a house, they're in their roles. And they just keep trudging along on those roles. And
have they talked about any of them segueing out of the marriage?
A few times I've had a couple friends. Recently I had a girlfriend that was, they were getting divorce papers drafted. And I said, are you sure? Like, why are you getting a divorce? Why? Like, what is it? She was like, well, he just travels too much. And I said, that can be fixed. What do you mean he travels too much? She's like, I'm just all alone in this house. She's like, what's the point of being married if I'm all alone all the time?
Which we have heard many people say.
And I said, why don't you talk to him about it instead of just reacting? And why don't you guys find the balance? Don't react so fast with the big divorce. You have a child. You have a home together. You do love each other. You're just doing this because of he's traveling and working a little extra much? Can't you find a balance and reframe your mind and reframe what your relationship is about? Go fly and meet him for a week and get the babysitter. Get romantic again.
Oh, that would be super fun.
Yeah, and she did. And I was like, go get a counselor and talk about your feelings. Get a mediator like you, Judy. I was like, get a mediator. Get someone to mediate you guys. Give it a chance. Sure enough, they're fine. It's been 6 months and they're happier than ever.
That's wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Because I was having lunch with another therapist friend of mine a few weeks ago, and she said, like you just defined, it was the exact story that you just told. She said, sometimes people just rush to divorce because the surface of the relationship needs to be addressed. And if you addressed it, the core foundation is actually good and there.
For sure. I see that a lot. I see that a lot in my clients, actually. And that's why I try to connect with them. I'm like, let's just be honest here. I'll be a mediator with you. Let's communicate some problems. No interruptions. I want you to hear. And I'll put acupuncture needles in their ear, And it's fun. It's fun to help people. Again, it's reconnection.
So here's what it sounds like with you, coming back to you personally now. So it actually sounds like you are all for relationship.
Yes.
However the relationship is defined, and if the relationship is defined within a marriage, as we know marriage to be, getting the marriage license at City Hall, you also see benefit in that. If that's what people chose, now let's just look at what will make it work.
Yeah. Just reframe. Get a new lens. I feel like when people look at it the same way over and over again, you're going to get the same result. And if that's the case, if you guys can't move on, then you go to Judy and then you amicably split. But getting into a marriage for me, I feel like it's lost its luster. It's so unromantic. The whole time, Judy, when you're talking about going down to City Hall, signing that financial contract.
I know.
Ew. For me, I'm not scared of marriage. I'll totally go down that path. If I could get whimsically involved with a man that I trust implicitly and explicitly.
You would go to City Hall?
No, I'll make my own contract.
Okay, good. All right. Okay, this is good.
I will not go to City Hall.
Consistent with what you said now.
I will not. We can create our own. If a contract is needed, I don't need a contract to marry someone. I'd rather go a little bit above that and create something that's beautiful and different and magical and spiritual. I don't want a paperwork with a notary. Do
you know what Goldie Hawn says? Haven't you heard Goldie Hawn give her interviews? And she's been with Kurt Russell like 8 million years.
Yeah.
And she just said, no, I don't want to go the traditional route and make it a legally binding relationship. She said, I want to wake up every day and make the commitment that morning that today I stay with Kurt. And every day well, I'm sure she doesn't do it every single day, but, the metaphor is she commits to him every day, and he to her every day. They don't need anything other than their intention.
And that's primal to me. I'm getting back to my primal Annie. In the way I deal, in the way I eat, in the way I am every day, I am into the primal relationship. I am. There's just something chemically sound for me when I'm with a man and there's some more. What did they do 1,000 years ago? Did they carve their initials in a tree? Perfect.
No, I see.
Not that I would ever carve a tree. I love trees. But
I love trees too.
I'm not a tree carver.
We treat the trees well, but I didn't do research on this, so if I'm wrong, everybody listening, forgive me. But my understanding was that marriage was created for documenting society. First of all, to keep track of people. Once we stopped being wanderers and cities, we started developing communities of people. We had to keep track of them. And so it was always a male-dominated society until recently. And so...
I don't know. I feel like the women were pretty strong at some point too. Heck
maybe
yeah.
Right,
they had to probably overthrow us, or maybe some women ruined it. Women were strong and ran this earth too at one point.
Well, I think we're getting back to that a little bit more, don't you?
Let's be careful of that.
Let's be very careful because we can't be arrogant.
Be careful what you wish for, women.
Always. Yeah, but no
Honestly.
arrogance, everything with humility and moral character.
Balance.
And balance.
Balance. We don't need to have only one in power all the time. We have to balance it. No way. That's why we have men and women. You know?
And what I'm understanding, again, going into, because the millennials are now creating our path going forward, they are looking at the balance of male and female energy in the relationship. Men are getting more in touch with their feminine sides, and women are more assertive. Mm-hmm. And so I guess that may be, if you would say, getting in touch with their masculine side. But there seems to be a different sharing of energy and an equalization of energy so that it can have more of a balance, as you say, without the power structure that we're used to.
Yeah.
Men start and then women support the men. And what your father
Women
says
support
is right.
everything. We're doing all jobs nowadays, I feel like.
We do a lot.
Women are not even staying home raising their kids. They're going, working, they're living their lives. They're not even raising their children anymore. It kind of makes you wonder what role they're taking on these days.
How do you mean they're not raising their children?
I see a lot of it.
Nannies?
Nannies, computers. Women are really, I feel like in a way, we're going off subject, but I would love to empower women to, yes, we're creating a new role for women these days, but I hope that women don't forget to be moms, and make sure that they're in their children's lives because they're taking on work and being CEOs and like this whole power structure. But, when you have a family, you have to make sure that those little ones get the good maternal energy too. And dads. Yeah, dads for too long have been gone. And these boys and girls need their fathers too.
Well, we live in Hollywood, and the entertainment industry is a huge industry. Real estate is also a huge industry. And men or people in this industry tend to work 24/7.
Oh, yeah.
Money is very important. Wealth is a signature of accomplishment for people.
Yeah.
And so that's all fine. If those are your choices, that's all fine. But I always wondered, then why do you have children?
I know.
Because they require time.
They require life. What's the point of having a child if someone else is raising it?
Exactly.
Just, are they dolls? Like what you're putting energy out, an extension of you into the world. What a gift. It's magical. I think we've lost that in a lot of ways. I think that the roles of humans have shifted significantly in the last 30 years, 40 years.
You're right. Mm-hmm. No, I think you're right. So, Annie.
Yes.
Any plans for the future as we wrap up in relationship land?
Well, I am always looking forward to new relationships. I feel like there's a lot of them out there waiting for me in my future.
How do you meet people? You seem, your energy, I am sure, just attracts people. You have sparkly energy.
I never have had, knock on this delicious desk, I've never had a problem meeting people. I love meeting men. I love flirting with men. I love giving them a chance to be a man. I let them hunt me down. It's fun. I love watching a man be a man. That's what I need. I'm full-blown estrogen, really, I am a woman. I'm proud. I love my moon cycles and menstruation. I love being a sensitive, nurturing woman. I also love having testosterone around me. I love having a strong man that is confident and delicious and smart and witty and a good-hearted earthly man. That's my goal, and I'm going to find him and maybe a couple times around the sun very soon.
So encouraging. That makes me feel so warm and so good and lovely to hear somebody talk like that.
I believe
just
in multiple.
Lovely.
Yeah, I'm going to receive.
Honoring yourself as a woman and honoring men as men.
Yes.
And let's connect in that beautiful way. Annie, I would love people to get in touch with you. How should they?
Well, you can. I think starting with my website would be best, and that's be-well.org. And it has all my contact information and who I am and a little bit of what I'm about.
Okay, that is be-well.org.
You got it.
For Annie Gigliotti. Thank you. This was a refreshing interview. I really appreciate it.
I always love relationships and partnership talk. It makes me happy.
Well, then come back and we'll have more.
Okay. Thank you, Judy.
Take care. And thank you, everybody. We will be back with another episode soon.